Total cost on just the cable was I got my antifreeze back in. Took about 6 gallons of the good stuff and put the old stuff back in because it was half green, half blue. So I'm not going to try plugging in the block heater till I move or run it once. So I'm going to try to start it, see how the glow plugs work. So I need to take these things and move them up out of harm's way so they don't get ingested by the pump. So put them up here like that, and then tighten the string up so that they can't get washed in there by the overflow out of the filter housing. 9, 10. Oops. So I got one wheezy cylinder. I don't think any of the injectors are any good. They just don't atomize the fuel. Because I still remember when I took some of those lines off, there was 0 fuel in the injection nozzle, and that means they're leaking. If they can drip all the fuel out, that just means they're never gonna spray. That's trying to wash them back over down in there, which I didn't want that to happen. We'll tuck them back in over there. So somebody said asked me if I was going to fix that exhaust leak. That's not an exhaust leak. That's either a burned valve or a broke head between the valve seats. Alrighty, the cable is here. I gave up on the idea of putting it on those little cheap deals. I think we got those from Harbor Freight. And I just put a piece of square tube through it and a couple slings. So anyway, they welded the ends. And according to the receipt, this is a 6x36 cable. Looks a little finer wired. Anyway, the total cost on just the cable was $660. That's no tax. And there was no freight on it because they stocked this in Boise. Ordered it on a Friday. I got a phone call at 8 o'clock this morning. They had it. So they run it over from Boise free charge. Now there was a $55 charge for the spool, but they said if I bring that back, they'll refund me that money. So that was the cost on the cable, $660. Anyway, the gentleman that won the hat and the shirt last time called me on my home phone. It was super lucky that I answered it, because generally our home phone is just nothing but telemarketers and garbage. But I saw that number from Nebraska, so I took a chance and answered it. Anyway, he said he doesn't wear hats, and so take the money and do something good with it. And I said, well, I'd just give the hat and shirt to the guy that was the next closest. So that's what I'm going to do. Anyway, so I got a lot of comments to peruse through to figure out who was closest to the figure. I've just been taking a brush and cleaning the big pieces out, 'cause there's lots of big pieces. Over here, as you can see, you got some nasty stuff in there. I can't get it out with a screwdriver, so I'm going to go after it with a needle. So over here is where most of the junk's residing. Big chunks of rust and grease. Really corroded right there. I got my cable coming up through here, so I need to stick it in here, and oh, happy days. I'm gonna have to grind that. It's too big and too blobby. Sheesh. Alright, so I just got the peanut grinder with a disc on it. I had to take just a little off. And there we go, we're in. We're in, Jeff. I got me grub screw, mate. My grubby screw. But didn't mess the threads up with that needle scaler. Probably did. Probably gonna go get a tap. Yeah, they kind of seem a little dinked on the top here. A little bit dinked. Way to go, Jeff. Yeah, you dinked them. Alright, so now I gotta go get a tap. Okay, so I ran the tap on the grub screw. I think most of it was on the grub screw. For some reason, that first thread was dickered with Dave. So I pull the cable out, I go all the way down, but I just need it to start. That's all I need. And there we go. It's a 3/8. A grubby screw. Mr. McGrubby. Mr. McGrubs. McGruber. Tight enough? Oh yeah, she's gonna hold her now. She's gonna hold it. Now I gotta get it up on the boom. Voila, we're on. So, do you think I need to oil that cable? All right, got a couple 4x4s with some big clamps, and I got it out there. It's trapped under the head, so I got this much cable on. Everything looks good. So let's see what we do here. Okay, kids, can you believe that? That's almost 300 feet. Okay, so I got that much cable left. I need to have enough to go around these sheaves. If I don't, I'll have to pull some off the drum. There's still a lot of cable on there. Oh, look at that, went around it, coming back. I'm going to say that's all you're going to want to run. Yeah, because it looks a little dicked up there. I don't know. I can fix that later, I guess. Raise the boom up, extend it out. I can fix all that. GoPro's still running. All right, there we are. So I got that much left right there. Hoping that's enough to go around the pulleys and wedge it. If not, I'm going to be pulling some down. Okay, I got it set up the way it was before. If you wanted to use a 5-line setup, instead of going up in the wedge there, you go up over that next pulley and down, but you'd have to move that wedge deal down to here. So you come out that outside pulley and then it would block off to here, which would probably make the hook sit straight. But the way it's set up, the only time it goes straight is when you actually lift something on it and then it turns straight. But all new to me. One guy said, if you don't know what you're doing, you shouldn't be doing this. Well, that's why I asked you. Another guy said, he's going to get some MFer killed. Well, I don't know. Does anybody care if an MFer gets killed? We don't want to kill no MFers, do it? We don't want to kill anybody. That's why I ask questions. Jeez. Okie dokie, man. I got the cable on. I think I showed you this. I got my tank heater moved down there in the back of the hip. Ah, that works so much better. Looks good. Boy, that cable will turn your hands black. But I get a lot of people telling me I need to lube it with something, and I totally agree. Especially everything that comes down around here and is going to be outside, and then I need to get some on the spool up there to protect it. Oh, got my window back, and I got the rubber installed, but I don't dare do that by myself for fear it'll go inside and break it. Oh, so I found another company that offers those water absorbent socks to take the water out of oil. I bought a couple of big 3-foot ones, big old sausages. They're made for 275-gallon totes. So I thought, well, I'll put those in there. That ought to soak up some water. So anyway, I get all this other little teeny stuff done. And I think I'm ready to probably finish filling it full of oil. Anyway, I've got a leak. When I use the slow hoist, I'm getting oil under there on the cardboard, and it's coming up here, and I think it's from that metal line that I replaced. That JIC fitting may have been rusty on the end of it and damaged, so I may need to replace that. It doesn't leak at all when you use the internal hoist, only when you use the slow hoist. I'm getting excited to get this done and out of here so I can move on to the D9. I had a post on Instagram asking all my crane guys that followed me or saw the post how that cable came out of that drum, because I had never seen a grub screw. Anyway, had a lot of guys tell me how it came apart, gave me a lot of tips and information. That video got 220 some thousand views, but boy did the experts come out, and they were telling me if I didn't know what I was doing, I shouldn't be working on this. I'm gonna kill somebody. Anyway, it's been a long time since I got a lot of haters like that. People could be such assholes. I responded to 2 of them with, we get more done when we work together, and there's nothing wrong with asking questions. I'm not a moron, but when it comes to a crane, you know, I have so many friends, so many people that I can ask questions of. Sean DeVoe called me. He used to have a lot of cranes, gave me a lot of good advice. And, you know, how else do you learn? It's awesome to have friends like that. All my YouTube friends, people are always offering advice. I get tons of emails, you know, showing me cool stuff. It was through my YouTube channel that I bought both those D9s. It was through somebody on Facebook, wish I could remember your name, that sent me the information on the Dozer blade and the tracks that were in Minnesota. So I feel sorry for these guys that that's all they do is tell everybody how to live their life and what they're doing wrong. So for those of you that offered me advice and encouragement, I want to say thank you very much for your help. For those that send me stuff, it's awesome. You're the reason I keep doing this. There's been a lot of times I've thought, why don't you just quit this, Jeff? Walk away. But there's so many people that tell me they enjoy it. I got an email today from a couple of guys who said they love my channel. It's awesome. So I want to thank you for all your help, everybody, all your advice. I don't know everything, neither do you. Just imagine what we could do in this country if we worked together instead of fought and bickered all the time. So instead of waiting for help, I just couldn't stand it, so I had to put that back window in. I got her in. Brand new glass. And I just need brand new glass up there. And brand new glass on the windshield. Why? It ain't broke. Yeah, it's got weld spatter and crap all over it. Holy cow, I'm getting some texty messages here. Who's text messaging you, Jeff? Oh, it's Matt. I got him down to Hobo Freight buying me some LED lights. So Matt from Diesel Creek sent me a link to some cable lubricant that he uses, but I have a case of this stuff and it says it's for wire rope, wire cable. So how's that? Since I got it, I'm going to use it. It's the one thing we don't use a lot of. We've used up all the penetrant spray, all the silicone. I use the silicone on my overhead door, which needs more silicone. So I just figured what I'd do is let this cable way out, spray when I get it outside, I'll spray the hook and all the stuff there and wind it back in, make sure I got everything good. I need to let it out. I don't really like how it wound itself back here, but there's really not much you can do. I think it just follows the cable and the way it lays. So I have put oil in it, filled the tank, went and got another drum of oil, fixed an oil leak at the back, had a fitting that wasn't quite tight enough on one of the outrigger cylinders, it was leaking. That stuff penetrates that really well. Let's just keep spraying. Look at those lines. Look how well those colored lines lined up. That's pretty cool, ain't it? I planned it that way, you know. I totally planned it that way. You probably didn't know that, but I planned it that way. I had my cousin in California, David, send me a message on Facebook Messenger, and he said they're the best bang for the buck. They were only $21 a piece. But I think what I'm going to have to do is get me some 1/8 inch steel and cut me some brackets, so just some L brackets that bolt to here and then come out to mount the light on, because they're square and they're probably not gonna shine correctly if you tipped them sideways. So I got those coming. What else? Oh, I took my sausages out of the hydraulic tank before I filled it up. The oil looks clean that's coming off of them. I don't know if they soaked up any water or not. It was kind of interesting because I had them, they were laying up in the top part of the tank. You saw that when I was running it. And I come out this morning, took the lid off, and there was 2 little puddles of pure water right there laying by these. So I don't know if they're so full that it started leaking the water out or what. I have no idea. I should probably just hang them like that, whatever, just to see how much oil comes out of it, and then see if we get any water. I'm sure it holds the water in the desiccant. They claim that even brand new oil has water in it and you need to get it out. Anything above 300 parts per million is bad, and I don't know how many parts per million it takes to turn your oil milky. Then some guys said if they used anti-seize on their glow plugs and they wouldn't ground. Well, where they seat in the bottom, I don't put any anti-seize on that seat for that reason. Because you don't want to interfere with the ground. Anyway, glow plugs are working awesome. You can actually get this thing started. Okay, you asked for headlights. I got headlights. Like I said, these are some $21 lights from Harbor Freight. Hobo Freight. Okay, I'm gonna take this out of here and do some more greasing and cable lubing. Like a sewing machine. Oh my goodness. All right, boom up. Crowd. We'll see how much cable it eats up with the crowd all the way out. Get the hook to the ground. Yeah, it took that much off. Okay, this is the cap you have to take off. Tighten the bolts. I was wondering if there's some grease fittings in there or anything. I don't know how you grease that, how you're greasing those balls in there. It's Jim. So I've had these covers off and turned this turntable clear around. I cannot find the grease fittings to lubricate the Rotec. All right, so I got my tail lights, exact replicas of what was in there. That's awesome. I thought that box was gonna be my water absorbers. So this thing's done. I'm still trying to figure out how you grease that turntable. So if anybody knows where those fittings are, let me know, because I can't find them anywhere. There's one here and there's one on the other side, and these grease the gear teeth on the outside, and for some reason they got a hole right here which is open to the weather. I think a guy needs to put a plug in there or something, but you can see when you grease that, you can see grease in there as you rotate the table. So this big lid here, you take that off and you can put a socket down there and check the torque of the bolts that hold the assembly down in here. They're not, you can't take it apart there. Basically what you have to do is you have to take these bolts off and pull the whole tower thing off, and then you would undo those bolts in there to pull the whole Rotec assembly out of there. Rotec is a brand name. It's a slewing ring is what it is, just like an excavator, only Rotec is the one that makes these. So I've been all the way around, I've cleaned the top of that off. I cannot find a grease fitting anywhere. There's a smaller one of these on the other side, which you saw, and there's nothing you can see in there. The guy from Cherry Picker said they may have put them on the inside, which means you're going to have to go in through where the rotary valve is to grease it. But when I had the rotary valve out, I didn't see anything in there. If they were in there, I wish I'd have known. But so you see that large gap under the back here, and then there's nothing up front. So I was thinking maybe the bearings are wore, but I rotated it all the way around so the boom was hanging out this way and it did not slop back. So Jim Kratzer was here the other day. He hauls windmill towers, so he stopped by. That was him in the big Freightliner, and he's been around cranes and rigging his whole life. And so I was asking him about how that mount up there where the counterweight goes is bent. And when you go to bolt these bolts in here, there's always a gap under it, especially on the front side. And he says, well, Jeff, he says, not only is that tipped that way, but the whole thing is pushed that way. And then he said he thinks it's been tipped over off a trailer or something because of all the paint damage, swirly marks up there on the counterweight. And then he noticed this. So right, you see the dent right there just above that black hose, and then you see the marks and the paint up around there, and he says that's probably where they rigged it to try to pick it up and set it upright. So where that doesn't have flop in it, now the one other thing I'm going to try is turn it clear around and pick something up heavy and see if that turntable flops. If it doesn't, the bolts aren't loose in here, because as I rotate it around, there's about that much clearance between the heads and where this turns. And the thing is that clearance does not change from the front up there where it's squished to the back. And so I'm wondering if you look in the parts book and it doesn't bolt into this. So there's another piece of steel circle in there that the bolts go down through. And so I'm wondering if that's been pulled up. Something's going on in there. So it's not the bearing, it's something deep in there. So this is not a crane, that I'd ever go pick something up and get paid for it, because basically after you have a boo-boo like that and tip one over, they're junk. They'd never pass any certification. Plus this is probably older than I am. Possibly, yeah, I'm sure, or it's my age. It's old. The guy at Cherry Picker Parts says, man, that must be an old one. He says, I've never seen one that just had those plates in it like that. Now, some of them have a big round plug you take out, and you can see the teeth. I don't know what that was for. And then other ones, in lieu of these pipe plugs welded in there, it's just a little plug, one of those snap-in ones you take out. But the book says to lubricate the Rotec fittings, and it just says 2 or 3 shots. It doesn't say where they're at, nothing. So I need to figure that out. Anyway, so it's Friday morning. I need to go in and finish the video, so you have a video this afternoon. But it's pretty much done. I mean, I got the taillights for it. I need to put those in. I'm really tired of working on this. I don't want to work on it. I want to do some other stuff. So the other day when I had it out, the plan was to leave it outside, and then it started snowing, and I couldn't find those grease fittings, and I just went, just bring it back in the shop here, and from the comfort of the shop, see if I can figure out where those grease fittings are. Anyway, that's the one place I need help on. I just can't seem to locate them. And I've cleaned the top of that Rotec gear off between the bolt holes to look for maybe a broke off fitting or something like that. I can't find anything. Guy from Cherry Picker said with the crane facing forward, you should be able to take the 2 plugs off and there'd be a grease fitting on each side. There's not. There's nothing. So that one has me stumped. So anyway, somebody knows, please let me know. Anyway, I went snowmobiling yesterday, had a good time. I'm sore today. you guys have an awesome weekend. Maybe I'll go again Sunday. We'll see you next week.